So, as a trans person, I think one of the most fascinating things that doesn't necessarily get talked about in the most positive light in the trans community is actually the detransition community. For those of you who don't know what a detransitioner is, a detransitioner is a person who has either socially or medically transitioned and realized either it wasn't for them or for other reasons such as medical access, not having a support system, and other sort of general safety issues. There's only about 1% of detransitioners that come out of the trans community, and a lot of time from detransitioners we hear very negative things about the trans community.
Your singing voice is going to be gone. You're not going to be able to sing at all. Every time you sing, it's just going to crack and hurt, and it's going to break all the time.
This is the moment that we all became victims of so-called gender-affirming care.
Do you think gender identity is a fad?
Absolutely, yes.
However, I wanted to put a positive spin on this and highlight some detrans content creators who are not transphobic, because I genuinely think it is an important thing to talk about, as these people did used to be part of our community and potentially still are. There are still trans and non-binary people who detransition for many, many reasons. So with that, let's get into the video. So it was actually this video that made me want to make this video. I have talked about detrans folks before, and I think I did highlight a couple people who said really negative things about the trans community, and I didn't want to do that. I absolutely love when there is solidarity within different communities in the LGBTQIA+ community. I love the fact that they are able to talk about being a lesbian, being detrans, and also standing up to a transphobic TERFs. Like, that's literally what we need more of within our communities. And I know there is a very big stigma around detrans people out there being transphobic and shitting on the trans community. And I'm not going to say that that's not something that happens, because it very much does happen, but there are also detrans folks who are not transphobic, who are still trans or non-binary. This content creator is non-binary and are still part of our communities. I definitely feel like there needs to be a little bit more grace towards the trans folks who are not transphobic and who are still part of the queer or trans community. So yeah, I very much appreciate this content creator right here, because it just goes to show that there are good people in all communities. It's just a lot of the time the loudest voices we hear are the negative ones.
So let's talk a little bit more about how I went from this to what you see today. I just finished my series of why I decided to transition and why I decided to detransition. And I feel like maybe some people will benefit of how I changed my look so drastically outside of hormones. So if there's any questions that anyone has regarding that, like any details, the procedures that I got done, that I didn't do, my style, just like anything like that, I would love to answer. I think when I first decided to detransition, I had to like revert back to like me being 17, because that was the last time that I was feminine. So it took me a second to catch up to the style that I have now that was more for a 30-year-old woman. So maybe some tips that I have can kind of help you maybe have your style more appropriate for your age. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll just start another series like this, but I think this could be fun.
So she is one of my favorite detransition content creators. She has never shit on the trans community. She has always talked about how this is her experience, how she knows that trans people are valid. It just was something that she went through, and this is where she is now. I appreciate the fact that she genuinely takes the time to explain why she transitioned, why she decided to detransition, and then is making content like this to help other people who might be in a similar situation. I don't think it's a bad thing to talk about the detrans community, because like I said, there's going to be 1% of our community that will detransition for whatever reasons. And like she was talking about, a lot of people tend to transition when they're a little bit on the younger side, or, you know, she was she was trans for believe 7, 8 years and on hormones for 7 or 8 years. So it's a while. And so she was able to experience her whole 20s as a man. And now she's grown into a 30-year-old woman and helping people who have had similar experiences and feeling more comfortable in their bodies when it comes to how they dress and everything is so important. I think no matter what community you are a part of, having someone there for you, having the representation, having someone you can connect to is wildly, wildly important. So yeah, I absolutely love her. I'm going to have all of the content creators in the description below so you can check them out for yourself. Because like I said, I think as the trans community, it's important that we listen to our detrans siblings who aren't transphobic because they were once part of our community and they still might be, just not on hormones anymore. So I appreciate this as well. It's a little bit hard to read, so I'm just going to read it to you. If you've been thinking about detransitioning, this is your sign, not repress it. Talk about it in therapy, tell a trusted friend, journal about it, etc. Life is too short to spend time being someone you're not. I appreciate so much the fact that she was able to touch on the fact that if you, no matter who you are, but especially if you are thinking about detransitioning, talking to a therapist, telling a trusted friend, writing down your thoughts, your feelings about it, it is so wildly important to have a support system, whether you're deciding to transition or if you're deciding to detransition. I think therapy in general, everyone should go to. I know that for me personally, the only way that therapy actually helps is if you want to go, and not everyone wants to go. But it is very important to talk to a professional, whether, like I said, you are thinking about transitioning or detransitioning, so that they can help you along in that process. I also appreciate the fact that she said that life is too short to be someone that you're not. I think that goes for everyone. I think that's amazing advice for any person in general. This life is way too short to be unhappy with yourself. This life is way too short to look in the mirror and be like, damn, I don't like what I'm seeing. Whether, again, like I said, if you're cis, trans, or a detrans person, you are valid. You deserve to be happy in the body that you have. You deserve to be happy in the life that you have. Yeah. I really appreciated this one because it's really nice and wholesome. I think it touches on the fact that, like, everyone deserves to be happy. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. I know talking about the detrans community can be hard, especially within the trans community and within the non-binary communities. But like I said, 1% of people will detransition. It's not necessarily because they're not trans or non-binary anymore. It can be for other factors. But there are people in the detrans community that are cis and are detrans. And I think it's important to listen to them, listen to their stories. Again, if they're not being transphobic, if they're being transphobic, why? But yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to uplift each other, be a little bit more positive, especially during these times. I also just want to remind you all that if you want to keep seeing content like this, I do have a Patreon down below. It is the best way to support this queer content creator because, like I said, these times are tough. Thank you all again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.